The Los Angeles Lakers are a circus. Frank Vogel wins an NBA championship. He's out a few years later. Darvin Ham comes in and takes them to the Western Conference Finals, wins the in-season tournament, and he's fired. So what do the Lakers do? Well, they try to swing big. Rumors start to swirl that J.J. Redick was close to being hired, and then all of a sudden the name Dan Hurley floats around and he says to the Lakers, "I'm staying at UConn." And sure, it makes sense. Are the Lakers really a good job? Let's look at their priorities. Resigning to just go ahead and try to sign a 40-year-old LeBron James to a multi-year extension is their biggest priority. To potentially draft LeBron's son so it can pair him with dad. That's the Lakers' priorities. Does that scream winning to you? We've seen this story before with how they treated Kobe at the end of his career. And sure, it's admirable. But does that mean it'll produce winning? Highly doubt it. But first, hit the intro. Welcome to the Sports on Tap Brothers podcast. And I'm George. And with me, always, my little brother, Sammy.
Now, let's tap in and get this podcast rolling.
All right, the Lakers are an absolute circus because they can't find a head coach. And the J.J. Redick news swirled, and then this news swirled with Dan Hurley, and still no head coach. But we're going to start off with our stat of the day, and this has to do with LeBron James and the Lakers' search for a head coach. Ironically enough, there's only been 2 head coaches that have lasted through LeBron James without being fired during their time coaching LeBron James. And that's Tyronn Lue with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He never got fired during LeBron's time, but he did take a mental health break. And the second one is Erik Spoelstra, who is still in Miami now. He never got fired while LeBron was the head coach. And it takes me to the list of a day. LeBron James has had 9 head coaches so far, and he's going to be on his 10th entering next season. And those coaches are Paul Silas, Brendan Malone, Mike Brown, Erik Spoelstra, David Blatt, who, by the way, went to an NBA Finals in his first season as a head coach, Tyronn Lue, Luke Walton, Frank Vogel, who won an NBA championship and still got fired, and Darvin Ham. That's a long list of head coaches for LeBron James. You know, at the end of the day, I think sometimes it might not be exactly like, I don't want to sit here and say it's LeBron James's fault that these things happen. Part of it can be LeBron's fault, but the other part can be the expectations that come alongside when you're coaching a great like LeBron James and the organization knowing that, hey, if you don't win an NBA championship or you don't go to the promised land, your job could be in absolute jeopardy. And I think a lot of that has to do with LeBron James being on the roster. And that takes me to today's opinion of the day. I think LeBron James would have at least 2 more rings if he stayed in Miami. Look at Michael Jordan. We're going to use Jordan LeBron here, not as a comparison. This is not the LeBron Jordan argument. This is more of a discussion. When Jordan hitched his wagon to one head coach in Phil Jackson, finally after running through multiple head coaches, what did he do? He kept winning. He said if Phil Jackson leaves, he's leaving. And he hitched his wagon to one of the greatest coaches of all time. And it just makes me wonder if LeBron James hitched his wagon to Erik Spoelstra, if LeBron James hitched his wagon to Pat Riley, would LeBron James have at least 2 more NBA titles? I always see what is the biggest what if in sports. And everyone always goes with the biggest what if in sports is if Derrick Rose remained healthy. No, the biggest what if in sports is if LeBron James stayed in Miami and had that infrastructure of Erik Spoelstra and Pat Riley. I think LeBron James would have at least minimum 2 more NBA titles, which would put him at 6. And I think LeBron James all of a sudden would be chasing his 7th or 8th ring, and people wouldn't even be having a debate on who's the greatest player of all time. But instead, he did not hitch his wagon to those guys. He's decided to hitch his wagon just to himself and his brand, which is great. He's very successful. Don't get me wrong. LeBron James has had, in my opinion, the 2nd greatest career of all time. This is great for LeBron. But I think if he hitched his wagon in Miami, he'd have multiple more rings. And for the Lakers, I don't know exactly what the Lakers are going to accomplish here. I think they might turn back to JJ Redick, which, by the way, I think if you hit your wagon at JJ Redick and say, you know what, JJ, we're going to hire you as the head coach, but we don't care if you win. LeBron's here for ceremonialist reasons. I don't think the Lakers are going to win another championship with LeBron James, but you can coach him, and we're going to develop you into a head coach. I think it can work. But if they do the Luke Walton method where, like LeBron came in, Luke Walton didn't do good, and then Luke Walton's out, then it's not going to work out for JJ Redick. We'll see what the Lakers do. All right. My name is George on Tap. This is part of a Sports on Tap network. This is Hoops on Tap. You can find all our links in the description below for all our channels. Make sure you like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Do you think LeBron would have more rings if he stayed in Miami? Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.